What's up, YouTube? So I've been getting a lot of questions on my Instagram account about specifics about my Jeep, what all I've done to it, what it takes to run 35s on a 4-cylinder. So today I'm going to talk about some of those questions, and I'm going to give you a brief walk around about my Jeep, show you what all's been done to it. I also want to add that I am not a mechanic, and I am definitely not a fabricator. I've had some help from some buddies along the way to knock out some of the bigger projects that I thought were a little beyond my scope. So, but for the most part, everything that's been done to this Jeep, you can do at home just with basic tools, because that's what I did. So let's get started on the walk around. Alright, to get started, I guess I'll just talk about a brief history about my Jeep. I got my Jeep in '99 when I was 15 years old. So I've had it for a really long time. I've had it, when I got it, it was on like 29-inch tires, and I've had it on 29s, 30s, 31s, 32s, 33s, and now 35s. And I'm still collecting parts to go bigger, so it's never ending, as you all know. Alright, so I drove my Jeep all through high school, and then into college, and my sophomore year of college, I guess that would have been 2004 or 2005, the radio short-circuited or did something weird, and it actually had like an electrical fire behind the dash while it was parked. So I came to get in the Jeep, and when I opened the door, smoke poured out, the dash was all melted. It was a pretty bad deal. The insurance company actually totaled it out, and we bought it back from the insurance company and decided to fix it up. So this Jeep's been through a lot, and just makes me love it even more. As I said, this Jeep has been through different lifts and different tire setups. So for this video, we're just going to talk about how it sits now, since that's how most of you know it. So the first and foremost, we'll talk about the wheels and tires. It just has some cheap $40 steel wheels on it, because then when we go ride, I can basically bend one and I'm not upset about it. But it's got 35-inch KM2s, which I love so far. They seem to hook up in pretty much every terrain that I've been in. So it's got a 4-inch ProComp suspension lift and a 1-inch body lift. The body lift was added to make room for the tummy tuck. It's got a Teraflex belly up skid, and we also had to do a 1-inch motor mount lift at the same time to keep everything level. Also at that same time, I went with JB Conversion's super short slip yoke eliminator. I went this route after reading some of the benefits to the JB Conversions versus the other brands. The JB Conversions is just a little beefier, and with the super short, it was able to allow me to run a longer drive shaft. So it's worked out really well so far. For the rear drive shaft, it's actually an XJ shaft that has been cut down. We didn't balance it, we didn't do anything, and it really has like zero vibrations even going down the highway. So I got lucky on that too. So I mentioned that the lift was a ProComp lift. Well, over the years, there's been a few changes to that. The front now has Synergy springs, and the rear now has Superlift springs. No reason for that other than I was trying to diagnose a leaning issue. So I swapped out springs, and those were just what I was able to get cheap at the time. I still have the ProComp lower control arms. They're really beefy and they've held up well. The rear has Currie adjustable uppers. We did that during the axle swap, just to get everything lined up just right. So the rear end is a Ford 8.8. I found the rear end for I think $225 in the junkyard. We bought a Nowhere to Wheel. It was a website, I think it's down now, but I bought a Nowhere to Wheel 8.8 axle swap kit. It came with brackets, brake cables, a solid diff cover, pretty much everything I needed. So I went that route, and I had my buddy do the welding for me to weld the brackets and everything on. I can weld, but I definitely trusted him because he's better at it and made it look pretty instead of just making it stick. So, but the 8.8 has held up great. The Spyder gears are welded in it, so it chirps around the corners, but it's not my daily. That is the one thing though that I would change about how it currently sits. A selectable locker would be really nice in the rear, but I was going wheeling and I had like 2 days before, and I was thinking I was going to get a locker. It didn't happen, so it got welded about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just been that way ever since. The front is Dana 30. It has chromoly shafts, C-gussets, an Aussie Locker, and they are both geared to 488, and they both have Black Magic brake pads and Centric Rotors. After adding the 35s, with 33s, the factory brakes did pretty well, but when I went up to 35s, I could definitely tell a difference. It didn't want to hold on like a steep descent. I'd be all over the brakes and it'd still be rolling through, which was kind of scary a couple times. So Black Magic brakes went on shortly after that sketchy experience. The front tie rod is a ZJ tie rod. So actually the ZJ Grand Cherokee has a whole lot beefier factory tie rod setup than a TJ, and everything fits up just perfect. So when I went up to the 35s, I upgraded to the ZJ tie rod as well. The front bumper is a Poison Spyder BFE with the Trail Stinger, I believe it was, the short stinger. But this bumper's been awesome. I had a full width bumper before, so I wanted to go to the narrow width to open up the tires, better approach angle and all that. It's been really strong. I've actually, it's probably not supposed to do this, but I had to pull a buddy out one day, and there was, for me to get in front of the tree and tie the back of the Jeep off, I was gonna get stuck too. So in order to pull him out, I actually pulled my stinger up against the tree so I wouldn't slide, and was winching him towards me, and all the way to his vehicle was up against the stinger. I could see it flexing, but like I said, I didn't really have any other choice, and it held up to that. So that right there proved to me that the bumper is well worth the money. I also added a steering skid, just for when we're in the rocks. Obviously I want to protect that. I don't want to lose the steering. Okay, so for the winch, everybody has that one experience where you go wheeling, you need the winch, you don't have it, and then when you get home, you swear that's the first thing you're going to buy. It's exactly what happened to me. We went to Hot Springs, I got stuck on a trail. Actually, the trail kind of gave out on the side, and my Jeep was sliding sideways down a cliff. And so we had to get my tow strap, tie it to the rocker guard, tie it off to the tree so it would quit sliding sideways down the hill. We walked about 2 miles back to the office at Hot Springs Off-Road, and we bought some 3-inch ratchet straps and spent the next like 5 hours pulling forward a little bit, and then my buddies would ratchet on the strap. And so after a really long day, we finally got out. I should add that there was nobody at the park, and the person working the park was in a car, not an SUV that was able to come get us. So it's not like we ratcheted just because we didn't want to ask for help. There was nobody there to help us, so last resort. But I came home and I bought a winch. The winch is a 9,500 pound, or maybe it's 8,500 pound. I think it's 9,500 pound super winch. I've had it for probably 7 or 8 years now. I've used it a pretty good bit. I had to replace a solenoid in it once, but I think that's pretty much standard with any winch you're gonna get. You're gonna have to do some maintenance on it from time to time. So, but it's still holding up, and it was a good purchase. Okay, the rocker panels. These are something that I bought actually on eBay. There was a guy that was making these at home right when I first started taking the Jeep to off-road parks. I took about one trip to realize that I was going to need rocker panels, or else the body was going to get pretty beat up right there. So I actually paid $150 for these. They were custom made. They had the tube put on them for the step. They've been great, really, really affordable, and the guy did great work. I can't remember who it is. I'll try to find his name and put it in the link. Okay, so the rear armor was mostly to support the weight of the tire carrier and the 35 on the back. Obviously, I like the added protection that I get on the trail, but ultimately it was to support that extra weight. The corners were made by a fab guy that's here local to me. He did a great job. It fit in real tight. The reason I had them made by him instead of just buying some was my rockers don't come up quite as high as most of the ones you get online. So there was going to be a bit of a gap there. So I wanted everything to be nice and tight. So he custom cut these to fit just right on my Jeep. So I didn't have any weird space. The tire carrier is basically a Genrite knockoff. I had a buddy that has a tube bender. He bent the tubing for me, and then my other buddy is a great welder. I took the Jeep to his house, and after some beers and a few hours of trying to get everything set up to where the door would close just right, it turned out great. It's a little tight, but we wanted it to be tight, so there was no rattle. If it just closed really easy and you could drop the pin in, then there'd be some room for rattle. So there's zero rattle to it, and I really love the exterior cage kind of around the tire, because on the trail, if I'm backing up or if I hit a tree, it's hitting the tubing and not the tire, and tweaking the tire or putting pressure on the tire, which would put pressure on the bumper or the body. So overall, I think it's a great setup. I've abused it, and it's held up great. So my rear bumper is basically just a frame cap. My buddy and I made it. I wanted something that was just as tight as possible and out of the way. What we did was I had a trailer hitch, like a receiver mount hitch that would always hit on stuff. But I wanted to be able to still pull small trailers here around my property. So I wanted to integrate the hitch onto the frame cap style bumper. So we basically just took some plate, lined everything up, traced it out, and then we made a step on the back, so it was easier to put the top up and down, because obviously it's lifted and taller and I'm short. So the step on the rear bumper was a crucial addition. But not only is it a step, but it kind of doubles as a support to help hold the hitch. And for the hitch, we basically took my receiver that was on there and just chopped off the end of it and welded it to the new bumper. Okay, another question I get a lot is about the tube going around my windshield. It's actually a light bar. I used to have 4 KCs up there, but whenever we'd go riding on the trail, they would just hit everything. So those came off, but I kept the bar because I usually ride with my top on, at least the bikini top part. And whenever those branches and stuff are hitting, it would probably just eat up the front of the top. So I kept that tube basically just to help protect the front facing part of the top, and it does a really good job. Okay, one thing I would recommend to all TJ owners is to get rid of your factory 4x4 shift linkage. You have got to add the cable linkage from Novak. It shifts in and out of 4-wheel drive so much smoother now, and I never have issues. I was always having to tighten the linkage or figure out why it was slipping, but as soon as I added this, I mean, life has been great. I didn't add it that long ago, and it has been a huge addition. Okay, so now we'll talk about the interior. The interior is pretty plain, nothing too fancy there. When I was in high school, I sprayed in the like aerosol, like spray-in bed liner, and it actually held up pretty good. It was easy to touch up, but now it's flaking pretty good. So this year I'm gonna try to pressure wash and sand and get all that old stuff out, and then use a Raptor liner to repeat the process. So it looks a little rough right now, but that's on my list of things to do. So also on the back door, I actually made a little basket. I took what was like a 4-sided basket from Lowe's, and I actually cut one side of it off and flipped it up on end and mounted it to the back door. So it does well about keeping all my stuff out of the way, keeping it from bouncing all around the compartment, and it's actually pretty sturdy too. I hold a lot of stuff in there. Okay, another crucial piece of recovery gear is a high lift jack. I hate it when people mount it on the hood, because if you really ever have to use that thing, that is not the place to have it. They're heavy and awkward to get on the hood. Also, you see people mounting it in front of the door on the sides. I'm not a fan of this either, because I'm always leaning the Jeep onto something right there, and so if the jack was there, it would just be something to catch or something to damage the Jeep. So to me, it made the most sense to keep it inside, where it was out of the way, out of the weather, because, you know, if it's raining on it a lot throughout the year, you know, there's springs in there, or gonna lose their lubrication, and it's just, they're already not the safest thing in the world. So if you've got to use one, you want it to be working right. So what I did was go to Lowe's and just got a couple U-brackets and some thumb screws, and I just mounted it from one side of my roll bar to the other. Super simple, and I think it was less than like $5. For a CB, I have an old school Radio Shack CB that I've had for a long time. It works great. It was small enough that I was able to mount it in front of the shifter, so it's out of the way, and it looks really clean right there. I mounted my CB antenna to the front instead of the rear because, one, I have the flush mount bumper, so I couldn't put it on the rear bumper, and then also in the front it was a whole lot shorter distance and easier to run the wire just to the antenna on the front bumper. So that's where it sits, and I like it because it's a little different. You don't see that every day. The top is a Rampage frameless soft top. This thing is awesome. It holds all the windows, the sides and the back. It actually holds inside the top. So you pull the back straps off the top, flip the bikini top, right? You flip the back part of it forward, and all the windows fit in like a zipper compartment in there. Then you fold the bikini top back down and strap the straps back to the back of the Jeep. So it's awesome for if you think it might rain but you're not sure, and you don't want to be committed to a hard top or windows on the trail all day. So it's a good place to store the windows out of the way. So when it comes to the 4-cylinder, everybody knows there's no huge performance upgrades that you can do to it. I mean, I guess aside from like putting a turbo on it or something. What I've done is a Ram Air intake. It's like a short ram, I think Air Raid or something is the name of the brand, with a K&N filter on it. And then I added a throttle body spacer, and that's pretty much the only upgrades that the 2.5 has. The reason it's able to pull the 35 so well is because of the 488 gears. I mean, it's slow on the highway, but I don't really like driving it on the highway anyway. So, but I mean, it'll get up to 60, maybe a little faster with the 35s, which is plenty fast enough in my opinion in that Jeep. So. Alright, so that's pretty much how she sits right now. I hope this was informational. I hope you learned what you need to do to get your Jeep to be able to be trail ready for 35s. It's a little bit of work, costs some money, but it's definitely better to be overbuilt than broken on the trail. So if you need any questions, comment below. Follow on Instagram. You can ask me questions there at That Jeep Adventure, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's big plans for this Jeep. Bigger tires, bigger axles, stretch. Some of the parts I've already got. Most of the stuff I'm still collecting, but over the next few years, this Jeep's going to be completely rebuilt and bigger and better. So thanks for tuning in.